Okay, Chairperson Richard? Vice Chairperson Cohens?
Present.
And Commissioner Houston?
Missed one. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay. Oral communications. This is the time for the public to address the Planning Commission on items not on the public hearing portion of the agenda. After obtaining permission to proceed by the presiding officer, speakers should state their full name and address for the record. That is not required. The speakers shall limit their address to 3 minutes. Any public comments that are discriminatory, defamatory, or otherwise not protected speech will not be considered, consented to, or otherwise adopted by the Planning Commission in its deliberations and findings. As a courtesy to others, please silence cell phones and other electronic devices. The Planning Commission strives to treat all participants with civility, and we ask that you do the same. Again, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Does anyone like to address the commission? Seeing no one, I will close oral communications. Under E. Planning Commission consent calendar.
This week we have 2 items on the consent calendar. We have the minutes of the September 6, 2023 meeting and the minutes of November 15th, 2023.
Okay. So move to, are we entertaining the motion to
Yeah, somebody should just make a motion to approve.
move to approve?
Well, I have a problem with the minutes.
Well, now's the time to bring it up.
Yes, there's errors found. If you,
On both of them or just one?
well, the minutes for September 6th, I was never present.
Yes, that's right. You weren't appointed yet, right?
Yeah, correct. That's problem
You can still
number
vote
one.
on it, though, because otherwise we'll never get them approved.
Okay. And then for the minutes on November 15th, I think they got the commissioners wrong. Everything that Commissioner Houston said and I said are
Are reversed?
not correct. I actually made a copy of it,
Okay.
and I actually made all the corrections here. So if someone wants to take that, I can just give it to you. Starting with the approval of the Planning Commission, of course, our names are confused of who said what.
Okay, so what I recommend is we approve the minutes of September 6th, and any small corrections you have on that we'll make after, and then we'll just put the November 15th minutes onto the next meeting.
Okay, that sounds
Then
good.
you just give us your corrections and we'll implement those.
Okay,
Okay?
they're already, they'll be here.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So, Commissioner Houston, if you could just amend the motion to approve the minutes of September 6th.
No, it's got to turn red.
There we go.
Yeah.
Red.
Say it again.
Oh, I amend. I approve, motion to amend the time for September 6th, the minutes for September 6th.
Okay.
Approved.
A second. Okay, that's a second, yeah.
Second.
Okay.
The secretary will call for the
Sorry
vote.
about that.
Commissioner Houston,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Cohens,
Yes.
and Chairperson Richard.
Yes.
Okay, so the minutes of September 6th are approved, and November 15th minutes will come back to the next meeting.
Okay. Before we move to the next thing, I'll just ask, can I see your corrections before we leave? I don't see them right now.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we've got those two. So those are the 2 things on our, so we're on continued public hearing.
The item that's under new public hearings is technically a continued item, but we haven't actually had any testimony, so we're showing nothing on the agenda for continued.
Nothing for continued, okay. Nothing for continued, so we're on to new public hearings.
Okay, so first we have conditional use permit CU 2023-0015 and design review application DR 2023-0018.
Okay, now is the time and place to open the public hearing to consider conditional use permit CU 2023-0015 and design review application DR 2023-0018. Director Greg McLean will present the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioners. So this is an application for a cannabis retail with a consumption area, and eventually, although it's not necessarily a part of this application, delivery. The location, I should have put the address on there. It's, hang on a second. 4756 West Imperial Highway. So it's at the corner of Imperial Highway and Inglewood Avenue. That's the southeast corner. The building where this is going to go was built several years ago, and as far as I know, it's never been occupied, and it's on the far western part of the lot. The parking lot is on the eastern half of the lot. The cannabis business will take up most of the building. There will be a separate business that will operate as a restaurant inside, but that's not a part of this application. That can be approved without the Planning Commission. So this is the current situation. The building, as you can see, is a corner building, and it's on a 20,185 square foot lot. The building is 6,191 square feet. The proposal is to have the retail portion be about 1/3 of the floor area, and the lounge under 1,000 square feet. The site plan, as I mentioned before, the building is on the far western part, and 3/5 of the lot is the parking lot on the east side. The facades on the building on two sides are currently white, as you saw in the previous photo. These are to be reserved for art that will be painted onto the walls. We're not at the point where we have a sample of what will be painted. I don't think even an artist has been selected yet. So we're just saying that's reserved for art. And as far as content and everything, we're not really going to be, reviewing that at this level. Okay, so floor plan. Within the building, the eastern half is essentially the retail area. There's a little diamond area in the middle, which is called the clone room. That's not open to the public. So the green area is showing where the retail area. There'll be one entrance into the retail area, and that will be off of the parking lot. There's a check-in when you come in. This is an example of the West Hollywood store by the same applicant. So this is configured much the same as what we're expecting. I don't know if the colors will stay the same or anything, but just to give you an idea, you can see the clone room behind the welcome desk. This is the rendering for the retail area. It's conceptual. It will probably be similar to this, but it may not be exactly like this. But just to give you a sense of the layout and how, and you can see art pieces and such in there as well. This is the lounge area. It's accessible from the corner, outside, doors, and also accessible from the retail area. This is a conceptual of what the consumption area will look like. Of course, again, this diagram has like an open ceiling or something with windows up there. I'm not sure if that's part of the plan, but this gives you a general concept of how they intend to furnish it. This is an actual location in West Hollywood that is operated by the same applicant. Just to give you an idea of the quality of materials. The conditions of approval will be very much the same as what we've seen on other previous applications. We have the first 7 of them are general conditions that are applicable to all conditional use permits. And then there's a bunch of cannabis retail conditions, followed by consumption area conditions. There's a delivery condition, which will apply in the future, operational conditions, some miscellaneous, and finally, I think it's Public Works. They're not so much conditions as alerts to make sure certain things are on the plans when they submit for the building permit. So nothing about this application stands out as much different from the other previous 2. So the conditions are very similar. And so our recommendation is to adopt a resolution. It says 2021. It's actually 2024-1, approving the conditional use permit for CU 2023-0015 and DR 2023-0018. And if you have any questions, this is a good time to ask me.
All right. Does the Planning Commission have any questions of staff?
Yes, hold on one second. I know the operation is from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.,
Mhm.
but will there be any deliveries before that time and afterwards? Is there,
There's a time limit on deliveries, and if that wasn't covered in the condition, we can ask the applicant what that time limit is. That, I believe, is controlled by the state law. If I'm not correct, they'll help us with that when we get to the applicant's testimony.
another question, I'm not sure if this is for you or for the applicant. I noticed that there is a charge for the guest on a Friday and Saturday.
Mhm.
The question is, has there been some type of problem with their clientele of any type of disturbances or anything? Is there a reason why on a Friday and Saturday they actually charge versus on a normal day? Or is it for control?
That's a question you should ask the applicant.
Okay. And also, for the delivery part, for the delivery component, of course, that'll probably require another permit, so they're going to return back to the Planning Commission for that? Or is that just going to be something that you guys do on the side?
No, we'll take care of it. It's a staff level approval.
Okay.
It's essentially handled at the business license level.
Okay.
I don't believe that they need a separate license because if I'm not mistaken, retail uses are permitted to have delivery basically by state law.
Yeah.
So in this case, I don't think that there will be anything further, but they're free to do that.
Okay, and then the monitoring of loitering in regards to distance. Suppose that, of course, on the premise, on the property line, there is graffiti. I'm going to assume that they are going to be handling that situation.
Promptly, yes.
And when you say promptly, that was another thing. Is it going to be within 24 to 72 hours? Is there a time
It's
limit?
generally
Is there
within
anything?
24 hours, but typically with businesses like this, once we alert them, it's usually taken care of the same day.
Okay, and now say that they pass, say we have a customer that walks out of that permitted zone where the property line is. Who is responsible for that, and how are they going to maintain that?
That's a question that you can ask them how they're going to maintain it. If it's in the vicinity, they're free to intervene. Their security person can, move the person along or get them a ride or whatever they do. If they're beyond reasonable distance from the property, then they should probably call the police if that's an issue.
Okay. And the parking spaces that are on Inglewood,
Mhm.
there's free, excuse me, there's free street parking along the Imperial Highway. That's what,
I'm not entirely sure because I haven't.
yeah, they said there was some street parking alongside it. But how many spaces are going to be available if there is an overflow?
It would be like any other business. People would park on the street.
Is there a number that is on that side that is available?
Generally, we don't count, presently, we don't count street parking, so I didn't even look at that. As far as parking goes, we look at only what's on the property.
Correct. I
Yeah.
mean, I know that's
if there is additional
that's accurate,
parking,
but I'm just saying if
yeah.
there is an overflow or anything, I was just curious to know for the residents
Yeah.
that live near there.
Yes.
So there is no car congestion at all. I was just curious if there is a number of how many spaces are located on the Imperial Highway.
Well, there is, I just don't know what it is.
Okay. And of course, another concern is noise. I was just curious
Yeah.
On that.
Well, we have a
Anyways.
condition that controls the noise. I mean, they're subject to the same noise limitations as any other business, and they're responsible to enforce it for, their customers, whether they're in the parking lot or in the business or anywhere in the vicinity. If they're generating noise, it's their responsibility to get that down and get them off the premises and get them off, you know, if they're, you know, capable of driving, get them off, out of town maybe.
Okay. And what about the max occupancy? Do you know the
No, I
total?
don't, because that will be determined when the building plans are plan checked.
Okay.
It'll be a determination by the building official. So at this point, the plan check is not complete, and so it's pending whatever happens here tonight. So once that's complete, then they'll set the occupancy based on the floor plan.
Okay. And another thing on the public hearing notice,
Mhm.
the notice of the public hearing, there was one on November 2nd, 2023. I just want to get a verification that it actually did happen. And did
So what?
did everybody follow the
Yes.
Hawthorne Municipal Code?
Yes.
And state laws? I mean, I would assume that you do, but I'm just curious if
Yeah.
that ever took place and just,
So what happened was that that item was set for hearing, but it was continued. And it was continued to the next available planning commission meeting. And then subsequent to that, at every meeting that we had, we continued it again. And if we didn't have a meeting, it's automatically continued.
okay. And I know this isn't required, but I don't know if this isn't, well, this is actually a applicant question about the emergency preparedness plan, if they have one. I know it's not required, but I was just wondering if they do have that.
Good question for the applicant, yes.
And that is it for me. And the rest of the questions are going to be for the applicant.
Sure.
Sure.
All right.
The applicant here?
Yes, the applicant is here and has a presentation.
Okay.
I have 2 questions.
Of staff?
Let them do the presentation first.
I'll-
Or
they're
unless
for
you have
you.
a question for me?
They're for you.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Go-
okay.
I'm
Oh,
jumping the gun here.
I have questions, yeah,
They're
still have
very quick.
questions. staff.
Very
Go,
quick.
go right ahead.
So with Hawthorne, the city council has approved 6 licenses
For retail, yes.
for retail, and then 3 of those are multi-use. If we are to approve this today, this would be the 3rd and final multi-use.
No, but they're not multi-use. 3 of them are approved to also have consumption areas.
That's what I meant, consumption.
So
areas, I
far,
apologize, yeah.
there has been 1 consumption area approved, and there have been 2 retail approved. So this will be the 3rd retail and 2nd consumption area.
Okay. And then in the email that we received, it is stating that this proposed location is next to a daycare center? Can you
There is a
confirm?
daycare center to the east.
Is it within 600?
No, not from the building. And there's a parking lot, which is, you've seen as 3/5 of the lot, and then an alley. So it's sufficiently far. We've done the checking on that.
Okay, so it's within code of it
I mean, it's
being-
near a daycare, there's no question about that.
No, but it's within code of the
code, yeah.
distance required.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay. I think as the questions that I have will all be retained for the applicant. So at that point, is the applicant present, and do they wish to speak? All right.
Good evening. I'm Lauren Fontaine. I'm one of the founders of The Artistry, and I'm joined by my colleague, Philip Del Rio, who's our VP of Operations. So we have a presentation. Some of the things were already covered in the staff presentation, and I will try and touch upon the questions that you already asked, but then we're happy to answer any additional questions. The Artistry is an art-focused cannabis business, so I'll tell you a little about our ethos and what we do, and then specifics about the Hawthorne Project. So we founded The Artistry with the mission of promoting local artists. We wanted to highlight the connection between art and cannabis and raise awareness of local art culture. We have 7 stores currently operating in California and 1 consumption lounge in West Hollywood. So we are operating one of the only licensed consumption lounges right now in the state. And all of our locations operate as functional art galleries. So that means that we actually design the space to look and feel like an art gallery, and we have art exhibits that rotate out every 3 months. All of the art is for sale by the artists, and The Artistry takes no commission on artwork sales. Another thing that we really wanted to do when we started the Artistry brand was to shatter cannabis stereotypes. So we wanted to create stores that were very welcoming, very warm, inviting, bright, not what you would imagine a dispensary to be like, a place where anyone could come in and feel comfortable, people that maybe had never shopped for cannabis or older customers. And so we really try and do that with the look and feel of the space, and then of course with our customer service. So in our presentation, I know you've already seen a few photos. I included a lot of images so you can really get a feel of what we're gonna do here in Hawthorne, and everything that we do at our current stores will be kind of copying that same design aesthetic and the same operational plans. This is a map that shows our current locations, and I included a few more photos here. And I think I wanted to highlight, I included the one exterior photo from Fresno, which might not look very exciting, but the point I wanted to make is that we really try and make the outside of our buildings look tasteful, but also not like a dispensary. And this is a public safety thing that we do, and also so not to appeal to minors. So the storefront won't have any weed leaves, it won't have a green cross. It won't look, flashy, have neon, anything like that. It's really gonna blend in while elevating the streetscape there on that corner. So our intention is to do something similar, as you saw, while also incorporating a mural from a local artist. Our ownership team includes my partners, Aviv Halimi, Mitch Kahan, Avi Kahan, and Philip, who's our VP of Operations. So the 4 founders have all been in the industry for a really long time. We have 50 years combined experience operating licensed dispensaries in California. We're very passionate, we love what we do, and we'll be bringing all that experience to our operations here. We're very hands-on. And so you're gonna see us, we're not absentee owners in some corporate office somewhere. We're very involved with day-to-day operations and with community benefits and working with the local neighborhood. And we are also very well known for being responsible and compliant operators, and also being innovators in the field. So a lot of our other locations have gotten accolades for being artistic, for being innovative, and just, being responsible operators. This is the site. I know you've already gotten some information on it. So, I don't think I need to go into too much more detail, but we did pick this site specifically because it's a standalone building. So that allows us to really secure the premises, and because it has ample parking. So it has a great on-site parking lot. It's easily accessible from Inglewood Ave and Imperial Highway, which are, major thoroughfares. So we think this is a really great place within the city to put a cannabis dispensary and lounge. What was the other thing? I know you asked about parking. So I don't know the number of spots, but there are some spots along Imperial Highway that there's free street parking. We assume that the lot will be sufficient for the number of customers we anticipate, because the average customer is in and out in about 15 minutes. And for lounge customers, what we found in West Hollywood is they'll carpool, or a lot of them will take rideshare because they don't want to drive after consuming. So we think that there's more than adequate space on the on-site lot, but we will monitor what's going on, and if there are any concerns about people parking in the neighborhood, for instance, or doing anything that is interfering with neighboring businesses, we'll keep on top of that, and we'll also encourage all of our customers to park in the lot and not in surrounding areas. This is the floor plan, as you saw already, so you kind of got the flow. So I'll just point out that the main entrance is from the parking lot side on the right side of this diagram. Then there is a doorway from the retail area to the lounge on the top. And you can also access the lounge from the corner of Inglewood Ave and Imperial. So that doorway probably won't be open at all hours, but certain times of day will make that open to the public as well. And then there is the separate suite in the building that will be the restaurant that will be operated independently, and that's because under current state law, cannabis businesses can't actually sell non-cannabis food and beverage at this time. So we'll be working with a separate restaurant operator, and that way our guests will be able to order food in the lounge. This is a little overview of the retail area, some more photos. So we'll have that glass grow cube that was mentioned. And this is actually a space where clone plants will be displayed and also available for sale. So it will be accessible to the public. It's essentially another product display area, but it will be a fully enclosed room that will be shut by a door. So if a customer wants to go in there, they'll be escorted by one of our guides, and they can shop for clone plants. And it's also just kind of a fun thing because a lot of people have not actually seen a live cannabis plant in person, and so customers like to come in and view it, even if they don't want to buy a clone. And then you can see we'll have areas for displaying art, we'll have display tables, and we also have interactive educational consoles that we use in our other locations so people can actually get product recommendations and place orders through those. And then in order to actually get a product, customers will have to walk to the cashier area where they'll pay for their item, and then the products will be transferred to them. And then the lounge, so this is a conceptual diagram. It's the photo you already saw. And we will not be having that retractable roof, which is shown there because it wasn't feasible in this space. But otherwise, this is a good representation of what we'll be doing here. So we'll have table seating, we'll have probably some comfy lounge seating, we'll have the bar area, which will be for non-alcoholic cannabis beverages. We'll have a movable stage area where we can have programming. We'll have a very robust odor control system, which we've developed with an engineer, and we're using the same system in West Hollywood right now. We've been open there for 2 years, and the system has been very effective at preventing any odor escaping the premises. And we'll have sound-absorbing insulation to comply with the city's code, which does require that, so we'll make sure that nothing that we're doing in the lounge is audible outside. And one of the things that is unique about our lounge and that we're doing in West Hollywood is our programming. So I mentioned that we want to highlight local artists. So we do that by hanging their art up in the retail space, but also we want to really highlight local performing artists. So we'll have a lot of events in the lounge space, like live music nights, art classes, writing workshops. We do high tea, stand-up nights, and this is a really fun way to bring people into the space and make it a cultural destination for the residents here. So it's not only about cannabis. And you know, we have people that come to the lounge that aren't even consuming because they come with a friend because they want to come to the paint class. So we'll have a regular schedule of programming there. And I think this is something that's a little different from what some of the other operators will be doing in the city. And then we do have a really robust security plan that we've developed over our years of operation. So I don't know if I need to go into too much detail about it, but we will have cameras, panic buttons, all of our limited access areas will be secured and only accessible to authorized employees. We'll have an armed guard on site 24 hours a day, so during operating hours and after hours. And those guards will be monitoring the building, but they will also be monitoring the exterior, so they'll make sure no one's loitering, there's no litter in the parking lot, you know, there's no consumption in the parking areas or outside the building. So we'll, you know, make sure that the whole vicinity is safe and there's no sorts of nuisance activity. And then the other way that we secure our facility is by not having any products accessible to customers. So our showroom only has dummy packaging and displays, and it has very tiny samples of cannabis flower that are actually tethered to the table. So there's nothing a customer could just come in and grab and leave with. In order to actually get products, it's in a locked vault room that's in the back of house through multiple layers of locked doorways. So this has been really effective at preventing any kind of theft or diversion. We also have very minimal cash stored on site. We have a bank, you know, we have bank accounts for all of our businesses, and we transport all the cash off-site via armored car. We anticipate we'll have approximately 50 employees once we're in full swing, and we are known for being a very diverse company and very inclusive, and we will have competitive salaries and benefits and opportunities for education and career advancement. And then probably my favorite part of the job is our community benefits. So I actually oversee this for all of our locations. And we're very active in each city where we operate in working with local nonprofits and really trying to be members of the community and not just a business. So we do a lot of things all year long. We do donation drives. So we do every November a food drive, a holiday toy drive in December. We do our own donation campaigns where we donate a portion of our sale proceeds to different nonprofits throughout the year. So this month, for Black History Month, all of our stores will be donating to the California Black Freedom Fund. We also give our employees paid time off for volunteer work off-site, and we do employee donation matching. And then Philip here is going to talk about some of our recruitment plans and also some of the community outreach that we've been doing.
Thank you. Just to kind of piggyback a little bit on what Lauren had mentioned, our goal is to bring on 50 team members, and one of the biggest parts of that goal is that we want to bring on local candidates to work in our location. One of the ways that we're going to achieve that is that we've signed up to be a vendor and sponsor for the Hawthorne Business Expo in March 14th. So, part of that goal there is to not only recruit talent, but also to shake hands and meet the community out there as well. We've found that, obviously, when you open up a cannabis dispensary, when you issue new licenses, the community and business leaders do have concerns. Some of the conversations that we've already started with community leaders and business leaders is, I had a conversation with Patricia Donaldson last week, and when I was talking to her, we were both talking to her about how we can get more involved in the community and really listen to what the concerns that the community may have. So what she suggested to me and to Lauren is that we get involved and attend some of the mixers. I think there's a mixer coming up on February 14th that I'll be attending, and my goal there is to really listen and to take in feedback. So far, what we've heard is that there is some concern potentially about trash and loitering in the parking lot area. Some of the ways that we have successfully combated that in other locations is, I myself and Lauren and the owners are all very involved, and we are visible on premises. But part of my job description is I'm on site 2 to 3 times per month, ensuring that the stores look good, there's no trash in the parking lots, and security personnel are doing their job. As Lauren mentioned, part of their job and part of their SOP is that every 20 minutes or so, they need to walk the exterior of the premises to make sure that there is no trash and there is no loitering on premises. The other thing that we just started about 6 months ago is we have a secret shop program across all of our locations. Part of that program obviously is checking the customer service randomly once a month in each location, but also part of their secret shop is to evaluate the way the premises look. How does the parking lot look? Is there smudges on the front windows? Is there dust on the, is there trash on the sidewalk? And those are all reported to myself and to ownership once a month. We have to inspect what we expect, right? So, part of that is we have to be visible on premises, and we do have some other strategies to ensure that we're doing POP visits across all of our locations to make sure that they're where they want, they are where we want them to be. Lastly, I want to mention something is that one thing that we found successful across many of our locations is that before we do an opening of any of our locations, we'll do a community preview where we invite the community and neighboring businesses and neighboring partners to come out. We'll give them a tour of the space and talk to them about any questions they may have or concerns that they may have. What I found throughout my career is that the more communication you can have with the community and the more responsive you are, the more successful that you're going to be and the more welcome you'll be in that particular community. So to summarize, I think that we'll be very visible and we'll be very much on site to ensure that this store is really welcomed by the community. Thank you.
I'm just going to respond to a couple of questions I
Yeah.
realized I forgot to respond to. So you asked about the lounge fee. So we don't intend to have a cover charge. I know in the write-up I had mentioned that at some times we may have a minimum purchase to get into the lounge and have a table space. This is what we do in our lounge during like Friday, Saturday nights. So it's not anything excessive. It's usually a $20 or $25 minimum purchase just to ensure that people are coming in there and actually making a purchase while they're enjoying the facility. There are also times, like if we have live music, where we may have like a $10 cover charge, but most times there'll be no fee to get into the lounge area. You had asked about graffiti removal, so, we're totally on top of that. So on the building itself, we will have an anti-graffiti coating that makes it very easy to remove graffiti right away. We have that at our other buildings. If there's anything in the parking lot, as soon as we hear from the city, we'll have someone out there to cover that. As far as delivery service, our delivery service, so we do plan to offer delivery, but we normally don't launch it at the same time that we open. So we'll probably start having delivery for customers about 3 months after we open, just so that we can get all of our operations streamlined. And then we will deliver probably between the hours of 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. So 1 hour later than when we open, and then we'll finish delivery 1 hour before we close to make sure that our drivers are safely back before we close. You mentioned an emergency plan, so we do have an emergency plan in place that all of our employees are trained on, with evacuation routes and a safe place to meet up if there is a need to evacuate the facility. I think that's everything I wrote down, but we're happy to answer any more questions.
Okay, thank you. That was a very comprehensive presentation. Greatly appreciated. And we'll start here. Does anyone have... Oh, is there anyone who wishes to address the commission? Am I at this part now? It doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right. I think that we should insert here if there's any questions for the applicant from the commission.
Okay, right. Is there any questions for the applicants from the commission? Yeah.
I have one real quick while you're looking. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Waste removal. What's your plan on waste removal and expired goods and things like that but make sure it doesn't get into the community?
Yes, so we anything that's designated as cannabis waste, if it's expired or defective, we have to designate it in Metric. That's the state track and trace system. So there's a record of it being designated in that, and all waste disposal has to be captured on camera. So we'll have a secure waste bin inside the facility in the back of house area where we'll contain all the waste, and it's all caught on camera, and DCC can request those. They have in the past. Sometimes they just do spot checks on that. And then the waste is also rendered unusable or unrecognizable. So for certain products, we have to either crack them so that nobody could use it if it's a vape cartridge, or if it's flour, you have to mix it with another substance like coffee grinds. And then we use a waste disposal company that will transport it off-site securely, and there's records maintained of all of that as well.
Great, thank you very much.
Oh, you?
Question on the fee for the Fridays and Saturdays.
Can you turn your mic on?
Right there.
There you go.
Okay. My concern was on the question on the fee for Fridays and Saturdays. It really wasn't about the fee. It was more of, was there a reasoning why there was a fee? Is there any problems or issues with your customers? Has there been a problem where now on Fridays and Saturdays you have to actually charge a fee? That was basically the question. If there was any type of problems with clientele.
Yeah, no, it's not related to any problems with the clientele. It really has to do with the fact that at those times we're our busiest. Okay. We have the most amount of guests, or we have the most amount of entertainment happening in the area. So, during the day we allow people to come in with no issues, but during the weekday, but on the weekends we do have just a much busier space. So that's when we'll charge the fee.
Okay, so there was no security problems, no issues?
No, not
okay.
related to security.
Now, I know it's not there, the restaurant. Curiosity is there going to be, I'm not sure if you know this, but is there going to be an exit from the lounge into the restaurant within the building? And is that your hopes?
So the restaurant, as it's designed and as we plan right now, will essentially be a kitchen and then food storage areas, but the restaurant won't have its own seating. So it will be, a kitchen that will then be supplying food to the lounge. So there's a doorway from the restaurant leading into the lounge so that servers could serve the food. And then there's a doorway from the outside to get into the restaurant premises, because that is a separate business. So it needs to have its own entrance, so employees can get through there, and it has its own employee break room and all of that. But it won't, essentially, I called it a restaurant, but essentially it will be a kitchen and prep area, and then that food will all go to people that are in the lounge.
So is that food going to be having like special treats inside them, out of curiosity? And that also includes also if they serve beverages. I know the restaurant's not here, and I know that you don't have to answer those questions because that's not what we're talking about. But in the future, is that what the plan may be?
So right now, it's not allowed under state law to infuse food in a restaurant. The only cannabis products that can legally be sold are packaged products, the same things that a retail store could sell. So down the road, it would be great if that were permitted and the city allowed it, if the restaurant could actually freshly infuse items. And that's, kind of the dream for a lot of people in the future. But at this point in time, the restaurant can only prepare non-cannabis food, and people can purchase that, and then they can purchase the cannabis from our business and have that while they're eating the food.
I might add that if it was possible to serve infused food in the future, given that this is a separate business, our ordinance does not allow for that, because we're capped out on that kind of, consumption. That would count as 2 then, and instead of 1. So it would require a change in the municipal code related to cannabis, so it would have to go through you guys and then through the planning commission and public hearings at both places. Or they could take over and buy out the business, and then, but that requires, as she said, a change in the state law.
Okay. The waste management part, I'm not talking about the waste management inside, where you, regarding the cannabis, I'm actually talking about the waste outside for, I'm just curious, where is that trash disposal going to be located and what side of the building?
So there is a location on the far, I believe it's the east side of the lot, where we have a trash corral that's locked and secured, where we'll have a dumpster.
Do you have a rendering by any chance? Does anybody have a rendering of that?
It's existing, but I don't think we have a rendering of that.
We don't have a photo, but there's already an existing trash enclosure that exists there, so that the dumpster would be secured in there and locked, so somebody couldn't just come on site and try and rifle through the dumpster. And I think Philip's right as to where it's located on the lot.
Okay.
Also, just to add there is, we will have 24-hour security. Part of their standard operating procedure is not only obviously supervising the inside to make sure there's no break-ins happening, but they'll have camera access where their podium is to be able to monitor the entire parking lot. And they'll be required to do rounds throughout the night, so they're just not sitting.
Well, going back to the trash area, when you say, is it going to be enclosed also on the top part? Do you know if there is an existing?
Top as well.
And is it brick?
I think it's like
I know
those
it's brick on the
concrete
side.
blocks.
I
Yeah.
know it's brick on the side, I just didn't know what's on top.
Typically, they're block walls that are stuccoed.
Okay.
And since this building was built only, half of a decade ago or so, it meets the current codes because it was built with the trash enclosure required.
Okay. And now the question is now that if there's going to be a restaurant there and there's going to be now the lounge, who's responsible for that trash? Well, the owner of the building is going to be responsible, but if there's graffiti on it at any time, is that something that the lounger is responsible for, or is it going to be the actual owner?
The artistry business will be responsible.
Okay, just wanted to make sure on that. And also, you did mention the artist. First of all, fantastic idea. Love that idea. I noticed when I was reading it, just said a local artist. So you changed your verbiage on to say there's others besides just one, because a local artist. And then you just mentioned that there's going to be a lot more than just one. Am I correct on that?
It would be a rotating schedule of artists every 3 months.
Okay, well, that's fantastic, first of all. And do they get royalties? I know you mentioned that they do get something off of it, which is just their painting, but do they receive anything else besides that, besides the worth of their painting? Do they get any other offerings?
So we will have one artist that will commission a mural, so they'll be paid for their work, and then the art that's on display in the store will be for sale, and the artist will get the sale proceeds. But we do a lot more with artists as well. So for instance, we've done merchandise collaborations with t-shirts and things where they could get royalties or, get some fee for the design. That's something we're doing on an ongoing basis. So for this location, we'll have an artist do a Hawthorne t-shirt. We have a really cool one for our Koreatown store, and Philip's working on the Fresno one right now. So there's a lot of other opportunities for them to get involved, or if they're performing there, for instance, they'll be paid for their performance. Or things like that. If they're teaching painting classes, they're all compensated for that. So there's a lot of different kind of indirect ways that artists will be able to benefit from being involved with the company.
As well as performance artists, right? I mean, a lot of time, we have a very successful program at our West Hollywood location.
Sorry, can you just move over to the microphone?
sorry.
Yeah, because we're on
We have a
TV.
very successful program in West Hollywood with drag artists who come and perform, and they're compensated really nicely as well. So a lot of different types of art happening in the lounge.
Okay. Now, the music portion, I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. Is there going to be some type of soundproofing on the wall to make sure that side, which is the south, I'm concerned actually about the south side of the building where the residents are. Is there going to be some type of sound barrier of some type that is implemented in the building's walls?
Yes. So we'll have sound absorbing drywall. So the drywall that we're going to use will be sound absorbing, and we'll also put some kind of sound absorbing insulation. I think I might have even mentioned a brand name when I was doing the write up. We're very conscientious of that, building that has residents in it. The other good thing is that is actually the farthest from our lounge, because the back of house and the kitchen are the things that would be immediately closest to that building. And then the lounge is actually closer to Imperial. It's on Imperial. So the part with the stage and where customers would actually be sitting isn't the closest part of the building to the residential property.
Okay.
To add there too, we're using a level 4 drywall, so the walls are very, very thick back there. So it really helps prevent a lot of the sound going out of the building.
Okay. Now, moving on to the educational part, I do appreciate you guys coming and educating the public on cannabis, because people fear what they don't know. And it's greatly appreciated that you actually implemented this, or that you're going to implement this in your facility. So greatly appreciate that. I also saw that you're going to do an interactive educational tool of some type as well.
Screens? Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have partnered with Seed Technology to develop these educational consoles, and they're really cool. You can put in specific information about what you're looking for, how often you consume cannabis, if you're looking for it for certain types of therapeutic needs, and it will recommend specific products, but it'll also give you a lot of information about the onset time for different types of products, the differences between an edible versus a tincture, and a lot of detail that people can get through those kiosks. And then if they want, they can also place an order, and then they would go pay for it and pick it up at the cashier. But then the other, probably most important part of our education is our team. So we spend a lot of time with training initially and on an ongoing basis to make sure that they're really pros on every product that we sell and the effects of the different products, terpenes, safe consumption methods. And this is crucial in the lounge setting, especially because people are consuming there, and we want to make sure they're safe and that they understand what they're doing. So that's, you know, a very important part of our training and our customer service is being able to educate all the guests.
We have an employee that all they do is schedule training for all of our stores. So probably I would say that there's training in our store probably 3 to 4 times a week. They're short, 20, 30-minute trainings, but it's really effective and it's constantly rotating. So they see all the team members throughout the year. It's really effective.
And then one last question. Maybe you know this or not. It's for knowledge purposes. What is a mocktail? I'm just like, what is a mocktail?
No, it's really fun, and we've kind of been started to get known for this in West Hollywood. We've created a seasonal menu. So every season we have 7 or 8 different mocktails, and what happens is it's flavored. The flavor profiles, like we have a margarita, we have different types of
Okay.
of drinks, obviously non-alcoholic, but the guest is able to actually purchase a cannabis syrup that they can add to the mocktail, and they'll have a really nicely flavored cannabis drink.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
And
really
then-
they're really tasty.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys have, I'm going to assume that you guys have a quality control for degradation, and, we want to make sure that the product that your customers get is actually good product, and is it fresh product? Do you guys have a quality control on that? Does anybody?
I mean, I can speak a little bit about that. We do. I mean, we do not allow product that is packaged after its expiration date in our locations. We're constantly checking that. But more importantly, I think what's important is our flower product, which is such a staple part of our stores. We're changing out the displays every 14 days, so it's the freshest, best flower. So we constantly making sure that we have the best flower on the floor. Did you want to add anything to that?
I was just going to say, we also don't even accept any products from vendors if they're within 6 months of their expiration date. So we want to make sure we're getting a fresh batch of products in, and that's part of our SOP, and we let all of our vendors know that. But then we take any sort of customer complaints seriously. We can offer refunds or exchanges if there's any issues, but we also will look into that and make sure that we're not carrying anything that is inherently flawed in some way, or, just not a good product.
That was all. That's all my questions.
Gotcha.
Good questions, by the way.
Up until that mocktail point, you were good with me. I'm just fine. Jen, anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I do have a couple quick questions. So, I know you mentioned your team of executives are generally on site at your locations often.
Often, yes.
Often.
I'm there 2 to 3 times a month. In LA, probably a little bit more than stores in Fresno. And then the executive team, the ownership team is, you'll see them in our locations pretty frequently. They're alongside us, setting up the stores, they're merchandising, and it's very much a group effort.
Gotcha. Interesting. So, do you all have a home office at all?
Yeah, we're based out of Studio City.
Based at a Studio City. Okay.
Not
Do you have a location there, or is this
No, it's
physical?
just our office.
Just a home
just
office.
clerical. Yeah.
Okay. Another question. You mentioned you have 24-hour security. Is that an ongoing thing, or are you like doing this? I know having security guards there 24 hours a day, armed security is at that point is rather expensive. So I was wondering, is that something you're doing like on a 6-month trial basis? Are you looking to see how this works, or is this an ongoing idea?
We've had stores open for 3 years, 2 years, and at those locations, they've had 24-hour security since we opened, and still continue to have it till this day.
Okay. Interested. Okay.
I just wanted to point out, so I mentioned we've had stores for a long time, prior to 2018 when it was the medical era. And we did experience some break-ins back in the day, and we realized that having the guard on site was crucial to deterring anything. And since we implemented that, it's made a huge difference. So ever since we opened the first artistry in 2019, we've had on-site 24-hour security at all of our locations. So that's something that is a permanent thing.
Gotcha.
The dispensaries also have a pretty state-of-the-art alarm system as well. So it's 24-hour security plus alarm systems.
Gotcha. Okay. A question. I know you mentioned local hire on this process, so I wanted to get a little bit more granular detail of like how exactly is it that you intend to recruit folks from the neighborhood and ensure that you are like providing those jobs to people who work here?
Yeah, so a couple of things. As I mentioned, we're going to be at the Hawthorne Business Expo. So hopefully we'll see a lot of local community and people in the area come out there. Seems to be the attendee list from what I've seen so far, all people locally. One thing that we'll do is we'll post with the Chamber of Commerce. We're already a member of the Chamber of Commerce, so we'll use them as a source to be able to recruit talent locally. Also, you know, we walk around the communities and we'll go out there and recruit talent at different neighboring businesses throughout the community.
Okay, gotcha. All right. I think that would. Oh, for as far as the live music or entertainment, is this a weekend only, or we're doing like a Friday through Sunday thing, or does this happen throughout the course of the week?
It's largely weekends. Sometimes our weekends start on a Thursday, and it's not every week. So we'll have, as Lauren was mentioning, sometimes we'll have a comedy night. Sometimes we'll have a drag queen brunch. Sometimes we won't have music for a couple of weeks, and then we'll have it the third week of the month. So it's really a rotating schedule based off of what we see works for that community.
Okay. And in any of your other locations where you have this rotating entertainment, have you ever experienced, like, I know Commissioner here had mentioned a lot about the parking. Have you ever got to a point where you had a bit of an overflow, there was too many folks coming or anything like that?
I think we've been pretty fortunate.
So in West Hollywood, our parking lot has 8 spots and is still compliant because the rules in LA, you know, because parking is so tight, what you have to have on site, you know, they have to just allow for less parking per person. And we haven't had an issue. There is street parking nearby, people carpool, people ride share, like I said, because they're consuming.
People ride share to our lounge. It's really pretty common.
Okay, makes sense. I think there
If
was,
I can add, this building was designed for multiple tenants originally, that we assumed at least one would be a restaurant. So restaurants do require additional parking. So this is fairly robust parking.
and the only reason I asked that is if you look at the businesses that are completely around there, the car wash, if you notice, that's right on the adjacent corner, has a really bad, I won't say bad habit, but they have a tendency to have lines of people who are like back through the intersection.
Yeah.
So it becomes a bit of a congestion in the area, so just wondering on that regard. So outside of that, question again, so as operating as a cannabis consumption lounge, I believe you have the same kind of reporting requirement standards that like bars and places that serve alcoholic beverages. So is there a base or routine training where we're training employees to recognize folks who have overconsumed or may not be in the proper state to leave your business, and then do you have a procedure in place to handle those folks?
We have a standard operating procedure where we do, if we see people come into our location that appear to be under the influence, we will usually refuse service. But what's also important about that SOP is we will also ensure that they are able to drive, and if they're not able to drive, we will call them, you know, a ride share or an Uber, something to that effect. So we make sure that we don't let anybody just leave the premises that are under the influence.
Okay.
Yeah. It's challenging.
I was gonna say I wasn't gonna ask the question, but you said it, so
It's challenging. We've had issues in other locations where we've had to at that point call the police department, but you know we also have a security guard that is able to assist us in those situations. So largely they'll take over at a certain point with the management involved.
Gotcha. So I guess you were looking. Okay. I guess the reason I was asking was what is your barometer? How do you determine, okay, this person is safe to leave or this person is not?
Yeah, usually if they're able to stand upright and walk upright. I mean, we do the best that we can. You know, we're not trained probably as well as a police officer, but you know, if you're able to walk, if you're not stuttering, if your eyes appear bloodshot, you know, those types of things, the standard sort of things we have in our SOP.
Okay, makes sense. I think. Oh, well, I just want to commend you. I appreciate one of the questions that was here on my list, as you mentioned, being the Art Collective and having the space for murals to go outside. I do really appreciate the way that the facade of the building and ensuring that we're not having marijuana leaves or things like that. Like, as much as I enjoy having the buildings there, I just sometimes find the art doesn't particularly promote what it is we're looking for in the community. So I really appreciate you guys are doing that part. Greatly appreciate the highlighting of these local artists. We need more spaces like that in the city. We have one great art collective, but it's glad to have more that are coming along. And I think with that, last one. I think we all have it here. But just since we're here, as we talk about your community engagement and being involved with the community, if there's a best way, how would people who wanted to learn more about this organization, how would they go about reaching out to you all, learning more about what you do, how you partner with communities?
Yeah, so, I serve as the community liaison for the business. So my name and number will be on the door as customers come in. We also have a website where we're able to take in submissions for local artists, correct? But largely it'll be me as sort of the face of the business and the one that responds to all inquiries related to, the business and the community there.
Greatly appreciate it. And if I may proactively ask for my other commissioners, would you mind leaving that information with us before you leave
Absolutely.
for today? Perfect. Okay, and that's it for my questions. Looking back at the script, is everything else? where do
Can I
wanna go?
interrupt you real quick?
See.
Are we going to have comments between us before this?
That's what I'm figuring out where we're going.
Before you
So
do
hold
that,
on.
Okay.
though,
Yeah.
open it to the public.
Yeah, okay, so that is the next one is the
Yes.
public, okay. So that is there anyone who wishes to address the planning commission on this issue? Is that the one we're on right now, yeah? Yeah, okay.
Hi, good evening. First of all, congratulations, Ms. Houston,
Hey.
Cohen, for being our planning commissioners. Great to have you guys here. Ryan, you've been there for a while.
Thank you.
Getting old up here.
Well, my name is Ruben Sanchez. I'm with the North Hawthorne Community Association, as some of you may know. As you know, this has been I wouldn't say a battle, but it's been a concern of the residents for many years when they start talking about this. Everything what we heard sounds nice and all, but let's be realistic. Have they gone to Manhattan Beach, El Segundo, Hermosa Beach? No, they haven't, because they pretty much, it's not legal to do cannabis stores out there or even have marijuana smoking on the outside. Okay, so let's be realistic. This is what we're talking about. They brought it to our communities. They talked to our council members. And I'm just going to add a little bit of background to this, because our council members, as all of you know, they started talking about charter cities, big smoke screen, and then they came in on November 8th on voting day and voted on this. Meanwhile, they were telling everybody that this had to do with a tax that we already voted on, and so it was just a big smoke screen. I'm just trying to give a little background to so everybody can kind of know why are we here. That's the big concern that happened. And it happened. They didn't even get a chance. They didn't even talk to our narcotics unit. None of them. The so-called cannabis board never even got any information from our narcotics. In one of our classrooms that we had, because we had an academy there, narcotics units confirmed that they didn't even talk to them. They didn't even get confirmation about the backgrounds on edibles and so-called. The music, I think that's a great part of it, but not the edibles. So anyways, they decided to go with the police officer that, I think he worked for the IT or something. And once again, I'm giving background. This is the board that they developed, the cannabis board, and this is what they brought forward. And this is why we're here now. So I guess we're here. The only thing is that they missed one little thing that obviously a lot of the residents, and especially the business owners in the corner of Inglewood and I believe it's Gale Avenue, Imperial, that a mirror place that there's supposed to be a spot. I don't know if they're talking about this area. But there's a child care right next to it. And they're very concerned because they do 24 hours. They do take care of children that are disabled. They have autistic kids that they do 24-hour daycare for their parents. and they're very scared of what's going to happen because, as you all know, for at least the ones that have gone to that area, that's the borderline of Lenox. We've already had 2 deaths in that area due to drugs, due to the black market, the so-called opposite, the ones that Gavin Newsom talked about. That the black market is the one that really strives when it comes to these dispensary stores. All right, and that's where we're at. There's already been deaths. People are already scared of what's going on. They're talking about parking. Obviously, I'm glad you brought that up. If they really want to help with the parking, here's an idea. Why not help with preferential parking in that area? They'll be more than grateful. I know they'll look at it different. If you guys can help with preferential parking throughout the north side of Hawthorne, I think they'll be more open, especially with other kind of businesses. Because, yeah, that's a big concern. There's not only the cannabis business, but there's other businesses there that take up a lot of parking. You know, and that's one of the big concerns that they have there. No one has addressed that in the council, as you all know. They've done some T parking, probably fixed like 10% of the issues.
My apologies, Mr. Sanchez. We do have to keep remarks to 3 minutes, and we've
Okay.
got about 3.
So I just wanted to bring that up and those concerns, and especially about the daycare, because she couldn't make it, and they're working very hard there, and it looks like they overlooked them, because all this, if you can remember, they passed all this through during COVID, when no residents could say anything about it, no business owners could talk about it. Everybody was kind of fighting for their own lives, in other words, during COVID. And that's when everything happened. Once again, that goes based on the background on how dispensary got into our communities. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a blessed night.
Thank you.
Missing from the script is also to give the applicant a chance to address any comments that were brought up.
Oh,
And
Okay.
assuming nobody else wants to talk, that is.
well, yes. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Planning Commission on this item? Hearing none, would the applicant like to address any of the public's concerns?
I can comment on the daycare. So we are parents. Both of us are parents. My other partners are parents. I'm a mom of 3. So we really do care about making sure that cannabis does not get into the hands of youth. And we have a lot of procedures in place to do that. So one, our products are all child-proof, packaged, compliant, designed in a way to not appeal to children. We ID everybody that comes in with an ID scanner, so it's impossible for someone underage to enter the facility. We monitor the site to make sure there's no signs of diversion, so nobody loitering around or on the street nearby that might be trying to get products to minors. I think it's really important to note that having legal cannabis businesses in a neighborhood actually reduces the black market activity, and underage people are not getting legal cannabis, they're getting black market products. So by having a legal option in the neighborhood, we're gonna reduce any black market activity that's happening, and we're also gonna increase the overall safety of that area by having our security presence and by having the building occupied, because a vacant building is actually more of a security risk in a vacant parking lot than when we have people there 24 hours a day. We are close to the daycare facility. We do acknowledge that. We're beyond the required distance, so legally we're compliant. But we don't think that there's any way that our operations will impact the people that are at the daycare facility, their clientele, because everything will be contained and will, like I said, will actually be enhancing the overall safety of that area. So I think that it's important to note that another thing is that having a legal cannabis actually reduces the use of other types of narcotics. So, you know, it's been shown that opioid ODs have been decreased in areas that have legal cannabis. And when people have that legal option and they're of age and they can, you know, get safe products, it really helps to reduce all of that black market activity. So we feel really confident about, you know, nothing getting into the hands of youth and being very safe operators.
Appreciate that. I want to ask just one question of you, because I appreciate what you said and I agree. I wonder, the facts that you cited just there, is there anything you could share, provide with us to show where you're drawing those numbers from that say these things do help to reduce the black market access or to overall help mitigate people moving towards opioids. If you have anything that you could share with us that would be great. Not like right now. If you have documents or any resources that you shared, if you could share those with the dais, that'd be great.
Yeah, I would be happy to do that. I've read a number of articles. This is something that, has come up in many communities that we've entered, that people are nervous about cannabis when they haven't had it around. They're worried about youth getting access to it. The other thing that we do to help the community is we fund youth drug prevention programs. So we've donated to the Boys and Girls Club in many areas where we operate. They have a Smart Moves drug prevention program, and there is a Boys and Girls Club of the South Bay that we have donated to already, but we want to work with. So, the education is crucial, right? For youth to know that it's not okay to use cannabis, because now that it's legal, youth might be, more inclined to be curious about it. And so it's very important for them to have that education, to know that it's not safe, that it can actually be detrimental to their development, and for them to know that, cannabis isn't a good choice for them and it is only for people of age. And then, of course, we have all of our measures in place to make sure they're not able to access it from the artistry.
Thank you.
I do have some questions as well
Questions of?
for the applicant.
Okay. I know I asked the question maybe I shouldn't have. Are we okay to?
That's up to you.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. It's going to be almost like a staff and a question for you as well. I wanted to actually see, because I am reading some emails, by the way, about the daycare. If there is any way that we can have the rendering, I just wanted to see something and look at exactly where that daycare is located. Is there any way that we can post the rendering of the building where you showed where the artists are
You
going to
can-
post?
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
like to look at that rendering, actually,
Well-
if I could.
We have.
This might be a better view. This is the aerial view.
Oh, actually, that's perfect.
Yeah, and you can see the building has the little marker on it, then the parking lot, then the
This
street, and then that
daycare
building,
somewhere.
the next building is the daycare.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm seeing your little mouse right there. Well, that's why I wanted to see the,
This is where the daycare building is. It's like over here.
oh, it's on that side, so
So
it's
it's
forward
across
facing.
this street, and then the main entrance is a little bit down the block from.
Okay, so looking at from the rendering that I'm seeing, the east side, that's going to be the entrance to the facility, for your facility, correct?
Yes. This
Okay.
is the east side of our building.
Okay, now the daycare on the opposite side, from that front door area, do you see the actual daycare looking forward-facing to the east?
No, it faces Imperial Highway, like the entrance, and there is like a playground. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's we've walked around there as well. So there is the playground. It's facing Imperial, and the way that you would enter is also kind of over here off of Imperial.
Okay. Is there a rendering by any chance that has those other buildings beside it? I think there's another one that I saw that you can actually see the
I think it was in
building
the
that is
staff-
on
The
the
staff
side,
report.
on the
Yeah.
staff report.
Jackie, can you load up the staff presentation again?
He just gave them to me.
What did you want to see?
The building with, do you have something that has the adjacent buildings to the west?
To the west?
To the west of,
No.
No.
Um,
okay.
We have a site plan, but it just shows the streets, not what's adjacent to those streets. I don't think we have anything else that covers it. Let me just check real quick.
I thought I saw one,
Oh,
but not.
No, the only thing that we have is
Like the surrounding area, you have nothing? Okay,
just the zoning map.
Okay, go back to the one with the artistry, where the arts, that,
Oh,
with, that one right there. Okay. So from, looking from the east side of the entrance, from the building for the Cannabis Lounge, are you able to literally see, if you were standing straight looking west, are you able to see the daycare from there?
Yeah, you can see the daycare in this photo, but it has no windows on that wall, and its entrance faces Imperial Highway
So there's no windows at all
on that side. No.
on the,
Yeah, on that side there.
I'm sorry, I can't see it from here. I can't even, is there any way that you can go to this
Can you see where
side?
the red, like that red?
Yes.
That's what he's pointing at.
Okay. But are there any windows facing, is there any open windows from the daycare on that side? You're saying that there isn't? It's
No.
just basically
It
flat?
used to have a big mural on it, so there were no windows.
Okay, that was my question. And then, okay, you answered my question there. Thank you.
Okay, I moved my script, and I don't know where it went now. So, hold on one second. Okay, Mr. McLean, are there any,
Oh.
Hmm?
There is a question. I'm so sorry. There is a question.
there's a question.
Yes. On the rendering itself, on the facade, on the east side, going back to the east side of the building, is there going to be a visibility through the building that has, or can they see the clientele in there smoking or using cannabis from that side?
No. So the east side of the building is the main entrance from the parking lot. It will have glass windows so you can see into the lobby, into the reception check-in area. That's the retail area. The lounge is on the west side of the building. All of those windows will be tinted so you cannot see into them at any time. And it's actually a rule in the city code and possibly state as well that consumption can't be visible from the public. So none of the consumption area will be visible from outside the facility.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna have to say we're gonna have to keep moving along here, so let's be the last question of the applicant. So there, Mr. McLean, are there any documents to place into the administrative record?
Yes, on the dais, I placed an email that we received before the scheduled November 20th hearing that didn't happen.
Yeah. Did you place, were there copies of that email for everyone, or did I just miss it?
I have a copy that anybody who's interested can have.
Oh, can I have one? I can keep
Oh,
those.
it's in your pile somewhere.
It's in here somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find it. All right.
You want mine again?
I underlined something on yours, and we'll talk about it in just a minute. Do my fellow commissioners have any final comments on this item or questions of staff?
Um,
Jen, I'm
not
gonna let you,
having-
I'm gonna let you start on this one.
No, it's fine. I don't have any further questions. I just have a comment that I
Go
will
for it.
make
Go
at
for
the
it.
end.
Okay.
Well, looking at the Planning Commission's resolution, I just have a couple of questions that, there's a couple of errors here. I just wanted to
That,
look at that, but I don't know if I should,
No, this is a good time to do that.
okay. On page 1, where it says Planning Commission Resolution PC 2024-01, Conditional Use Permit CU 2023-15, and the design review. If you go down to the bottom, a duly noted public hearing on the conditional use permit application was held before the Planning Commission on January 17, 2024. That,
Okay, we'll
Was
change that.
incorrect,
Yeah, well,
okay.
that's, that was the intended date, but we will correct it.
okay, and then where it says whereas, on the public hearing again, just one second. Oh, I want to make sure, I'm just verifying. At the public hearing before the Planning Commission, evidence was heard and presented from all persons in favor of the application, from all persons opposed of the application, and from members of the city staff.
Yeah, that's in every resolution.
That, okay,
Because even if nobody actually speaks in favor or against, the opportunity exists for that to
Okay.
happen, so.
so I just wanted to get a verification that that was actually done with state law and Hawthorne Municipal
That's what we
Code.
just did, yeah.
Exactly, that's, well, I guess we just did, that was another question, I was like, wait a minute, we're here now. Again, on the second page, we're looking at section 3. Again, the date is not correct, it says, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it says January 17, 2024. So that needs to
But
be
that was
corrected as
yeah,
well.
that was another planned hearing that didn't happen.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was in section 3?
And I'm sorry, I'm very picky when it comes
No,
to
no,
writing
these
and
are,
stuff,
these are
so-
important things to correct.
Okay. That is it with that. So
Okay.
I am good. Thank you.
So when the motion is made,
With
just
amendments.
include those date corrections and
Corrections.
as part of the motion.
Okay. Any other comments, or that's? Any other It's gonna work. Any other comments, or you good?
Oh, I'm good.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. Floor is yours.
Sure. So I'm just going to say, I want to thank Mr. Sanchez for coming and taking the time out of your day to come and speak to us today. I greatly appreciate it. I want to thank you guys for coming and the great presentation and very dialed in and professional. So thank you very much for that. The other thing I want to say is that no matter what my belief is or what I feel is right for the city or what is going to happen, my job here as a commissioner on this council is to make sure that we are abiding by city ordinances and what has been stated by the city and what our city council has decided is correct to do in these situations. So it is not a personal opinion of mine of normally how I vote, except for when things give us that ability to what we believe is best for the city. And so in how I vote tonight, I just want everyone to know that I am voting by what the law is, by what the rules are, not by what my personal opinion is or what I feel is best for this community. I am voting for what I know is right for the community based on the parameters that I have to vote on. So I just wanted to put that out there today, that is the job I feel I have to do tonight, and that is the job I will be doing tonight.
Very fair, very well said. To that point, same. I think there are some very valid complaints that are risen here, but I think many of the concerns that have been expressed here are things that we have continually adjudicated in a number of spaces. Number one, primarily even in the complaint, one of the things that I have brought up in a number of occasions, and I think is worth us all continuing to remember. In the email, the simple thing, one of the main things that we talk about is fueling the problem in that area is the simple fact that there are a number of liquor stores that are within the same distance from this daycare. Not only that, on the opposite side, if we don't see this in any of the renderings, if we look right on the other side of our car wash, there's a strip club that is there that also serves alcohol. A number of these things are all present in this community, and we have set guidelines about how we protect alcohol from small children for years. Those businesses have not only been there, they have grown over time. We have not went through the same process of trying to remove these things which we have known to be a detriment to our communities. We continue to allow them to continue to proliferate, and unfortunately, there are certain, I don't understand where we come to the difference when we look at the fact that we have a number of these businesses in this space. They're not being asked to remove or relocate, but we're doing this when we come to progress. And that's what kind of where I come on this and it confuses me. But again, I honestly feel fortunate that we are doing this according to the law, because the simple fact of the matter is we have taken the time to, again, allow folks like Mr. Sanchez. We appreciate you coming and speaking, but that's why we provide these spaces for people to come and provide those opinions, to talk about what's going on before we put together this kind of legislation. So I just wanted to say that, and mainly because it was called out in the complaint, as it specifically pointed out these other things that are there. So if there are any other there we go. I know you were
Yes.
coming.
I concur with Commissioner Houston and Commissioner Richards. We have to actually look at what we have in front of us and exactly what it is. Our personal opinions, unfortunately, sometimes we can't give out really personal opinions. We got to look at, hey, what's good for the residents and so forth. I did receive emails with complaints about the daycare, and of course, thank you, Mr. Sanchez, for coming up and making your opinion known. We greatly appreciate it. We really appreciate that, and we encourage anybody, if you ever have any type of complaints or concerns, please come up and say something. We really encourage that. But again, I have to put I have children. I do have, like I said, I do have children. And I do have to put my personal opinion sometimes to the side because we are the planning commission. We do certain things as the council. The city council has certain obligation as well. So if you do have complaints as well, how things are going, please also go to your city council, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that really make all the decisions here from the very top. So I do encourage anybody, if you do have a problem, a concern, please go to your council. So that is it for me.
I just have one last thing to add because literally there's one person thing, because she mentioned this and it is very important. I often see Ruben here. I often see Ruben come in and voice opinions. And the reason I just specifically say this for the public again is don't let Ruben be the only person here speaking. Because other people you have problems, you have an issue. This is the reason why before we do anything, we open a public hearing. It is to hear from the public. We very much so appreciate everyone coming in and providing the input. I just wanted to make that, again, a point to the community to know, please come speak to us. We don't bite. We're definitely very much so here to hear what everyone has to say. And that's all. I just wanted to make sure people know the doors are always open. Come talk to us. And at that point, I think those were final comments. So I'm going to formally close the public hearing on these items and request a vote on the motion. We had to go back.
Request a motion. Yeah.
Request a motion. So we're back to the one with the adjustments and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, whoever makes it, if somebody makes a motion to approve, then this should include the adjustments to the.
I'll let you do it so you can mark out the.
Well, you don't have to specify them because they were already spelled out.
Oh, okay.
Just reference them.
Okay, motion to approve, of course, amending the date to the correct date.
Second.
Has
Okay.
been motioned and seconded.
Vice
Secretary?
Chairperson Cohens,
Yes.
Commissioner Houston,
Yes.
and Chairperson Richard.
Yes.
Okay, that is approved. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item number 2, zone text amendment. This is Green. I think that's you.
Yeah, this is zone text, well, yeah, it could be either one of us, but this is zone text amendment ZA 2023-0007.
Okay. Now is the time time and place to open the public hearing to consider the zone text amendment ZA 2023-0007. Director Greg McLean will present the staff report.
Yeah, this is a very straightforward zoning text amendment. In preparation for allowing cannabis uses in the city, we did amend the zoning code to take out the prohibition that had been placed into every zone, and we just removed it from all the commercial and industrial zones. We didn't remove it from the residential zones, of course, it's still there. But we also have a number of specific plans and overlays, and somehow this one got through without being removed. So this amendment is to bring this into conformity with the rest of the zoning code and remove the prohibition for cannabis businesses in the mixed use overlay. We do have one application that will be coming to you very soon, scheduled for the next Planning Commission meeting, that will be relying on this change. But the others are all outside of the mixed use overlay. So that's the entire point of this, and that's the end of my report.
Okay. Thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions of staff?
Yes. Going down to the zone text amendment ZA 2023-0007. Okay, hold on a second. I just want to verify again, the public hearing notice attachment 2. Is there what is the attachment 2? Because I didn't receive an attachment 2. It was posted in coordinates. Oh, well, you know what? I can just verify this. I don't have, it's just, let me see here. Public hearing notice was posted in accordance with Chapter 1706 of the Hawthorne Municipal Code.
That is correct.
The notice was published in the Hawthorne Press Tribune on January 4, 2024. I just want to verify that this was done and in compliance with Hawthorne Municipal Code, also with state law. I just wanted to get a verification. It's probably, I know I saw it on paper, but I just wanted to make sure that did happen.
It did, and
Okay.
it was done correctly. And in the same circumstances as the previous, the meetings after this notice did not occur. So this item was automatically continued. So there's no requirement to renotice it.
Okay. And then again, on the Planning Commission Resolution Number PC 2024-02 Zoning Text Amendment ZA 2023-0007, again, verifying that the City Council held a public hearing on October 25th, 2022, with accordance with state law and Hawthorne Municipal Code. I just wanted to get a
That's
verbal
correct.
confirmation.
Yes.
Okay. If you turn the page to page 2, again, February 14, 2023, the City Council considers the Planning Commission's recommendations and so forth in ordinance number 2237. Again, verification, verifying that everything is true, Hawthorne, following state law and Hawthorne Municipal Code.
That is correct. It was
Okay.
done correctly.
Proceeding on to February 7, 2024, the Planning Commission of the City of Hawthorne considered ordinance 2249 to remove cannabis business from list of users prohibited, the mixed-use overlay zone, and recommends approval of the ordinance to the City Council. Oh, I'm so sorry. Forget I said that. Okay. Oh, 1 second.
Good.
And ordinance number 2249. Oh, no, that's it. That's all my
I think
questions
we're
on there.
beyond that one.
Sorry. That is it. Just
Okay.
wanted to get those verifications,
Yes.
just to make sure that actually happened.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is an abbreviated script, so at this point,
So I think we went too far. Don't we have to approve this one first?
pardon me?
Do we still have to get through the vote for 2307?
No, this is what I'm saying. This is a public hearing, so
Oh,
the
okay.
part that's missing, and I apologize because I
Oh, don't worry
reviewed
about
this and didn't catch it, is that we should open it to the public for any comments.
Okay. I'd like to open, at this time, I'd like to open, would anyone like to address the Planning Commission on this item? Seeing none, now formally
Yes.
we will now formally close the public hearing on this item. Do I have a motion to approve this application?
So to be clear, an approval is a recommendation to the city council to adopt the ordinance.
No motion? I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay, Chairperson Richard,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Cohens,
Yes.
Commissioner Houston.
No.
Okay, so this item is not approved.
All right.
Are we allowed to talk about it?
I don't,
It's up to the chairperson.
do we,
Talking about it?
do we need? Yeah, sure. Yeah, what's going on? Let's talk about it.
I just feel that we have approved 4 to date.
Three to date.
3 to date, sorry, 3 to date. None have been built. We don't know the impact that we have on the community. We don't know what's happening yet. This is another provision that wants to be removed we don't have any data to sustain what's happening with the data that we have now for what's already been approved. So I would like to just wait and see. There's other places and other buildings that people can come into, and let's just see what happens. That's so we can get some data and make some educated decisions to remove more bills, or to remove more laws or amend more laws than we are right now. I think we need to wait and see. That is my opinion on this, and that is why I'm voting no.
Okay. So general question, and this is a big question to staff. As of right now, the amount of licenses, the number of licenses that we have to divvy out have been allocated, correct? We've had
Yes, there are six applicants that were selected to do a retail. Of those six, 3 were selected to do a lounge too. So the 6 were given a period of time of only a year to find a location and to get their conditional use permit. This will essentially make the total number 5 now.
That's what I was wondering. So
Yeah.
one of the applicants that we have already approved will no longer be,
Yeah, yeah, you've kicked one of the applicants out of the running.
does the city run afoul of any kind of law for retroactively kicking out an applicant that we've approved?
Possibly.
That would be my only concern with not approving this, is the fact that this was deemed an oversight, something that was in a group of approved changes, that then we didn't. In the wait and see part, I understand, I appreciate the data gathering part, is that we may open ourselves up to a different problem from an applicant who says, hey, you approved me based on what you were, basically, we are removing an applicant by no fault of their own, by fault of us. That's where I wonder.
Yeah, and I can,
do we
I can
run afoul?
explain.
There's
There's a abandoned restaurant near the corner of Imperial and Hawthorne Boulevard. It's adjacent to the restaurant that's there, and there's I think it used to be called LAX Diner. I forgot what it's called now. It's something else. And it's between that and the Starbucks.
LAX Diner's not there anymore?
Well, it's there. It's just a different name.
Oh, it's Moshi Moshi Mumbo. Okay.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right,
That's right.
okay.
That's
I
right,
was like,
that's
what are
right.
you talking about?
No, so we have a restaurant that's been abandoned for 20 years, but unfortunately, it's in the mixed-use overlay. So this is the location that is going to be impacted by this. So by denying this, then that applicant has a ridiculously short period of time to find another
So
location.
considering that and knowing that this is someone that's already been approved, is there a special circumstance for this one to pass versus overturning the,
No. With this bit of the code remaining, this oversight, it would take that. It would take a lot of the city out of contention. So the the intersection of Hawthorne and Imperial, as well as anything on Rosecrans.
so I guess, one, how did this fall through the cracks that we weren't aware when
Yeah.
we voted?
That's a fair question.
Now
That
we're
is a
put in
fair
this
question, and I
position,
don't know the answer
And I've already
because
voted.
I had prepared that ordinance and somehow I missed this, and it wasn't intentional, but I missed it, and so this was an opportunity to repair that mistake on my.
Well, then I will amend my vote.
Okay, the way to do this now is to.
Can I just say why first, and then we can do it?
Yes, you may say why.
And then we'll go to redo.
Okay, so what you'll do is you'll ask for a motion to reconsider.
I am going to request a motion to reconsider on the basis of that I do not want to put the city at more risk for litigation with potentially deep pockets to come at us that would only further hurt our city and not help us get to a place that we would need to be.
This is the motion.
That's the
Second.
motion.
Is the
We
motion
reconsider.
second? No, it says the motion second. Do we have a second to the motion?
Can you repeat that real quick? I just want to,
Oh, no, I'm making a motion to reconsider the vote.
and what did you actually say? Because I just want to make sure.
I said that I'm doing it because I want to make sure that my vote is not going to put the city in more harm, because there was an oversight in us approving not having all of the information at the time of what the actual facts were for what were going to happen when we approved this applicant.
Okay, because I just wanted to make sure that the motion was said correctly. So basically, we are going to pass this.
No.
This is a
So-
motion to reconsider, which means that
Oh,
we take
reconsider.
a
let's-
step back and we ask for a new motion to
Let's-
approve.
Yes.
So let's clarify.
Yes.
What we're doing is the motion to reconsider simply means we are reconsidering what we just did.
Okay,
That's
got you.
All
Yeah.
right. So I have a motion
Yes.
and a second.
Motion- Second.
And we can just take a voice vote on this one. All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, there's 3 ayes. Okay, now we need a motion similar to what we had before.
Right. So now we are back at the point here where we are considering Zone Text Amendment ZA 23007 for adoption. I don't know if I have to run through this all over again, but I think we should.
I think you
Since
should.
we're here. So now is the time and place to open public hearing to consider zone text amendment ZA 2023-007. So, Director McLean, if you would like to briefly present your staff report.
That's not necessary.
Not necessary, great. Okay, so we'll move on. Does anyone, now facing this, does anyone like to say anything? Would anyone like to speak about this? No? Okay, cool. We'll officially close public hearing. So, do we have a motion to approve this application? Or, don't we have to say, do you have questions? Does our commissioners have questions?
I had comments, but again, with some of what Mrs. Commissioner Houston said, of course, we don't want any harm to the city. But my concern was that if we don't pass it, then the city will suffer because we already put those applicants and we're, there is also a financial setback if we don't approve this. That's already in motion, and that's one of my concerns. And then the other one, of course, we need to put all this in place. And unfortunately, the cannabis business, from my understanding, can't move forward without finishing one thing. So in other words, if a cannabis business comes, from my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, if they come in, they need to have in place a facility before even applying.
For the conditional use permit, yes.
Yes. So the application is very extensive, and they have to pass certain things before they can even come up here.
Yeah, for clarification, this was a two-step process. The first step was to select the winning candidates among, I think we had 20 applicants, and 6 were selected, and they were given a year to find a location within the city to make an application for a conditional use permit. So that application is pending for the next meeting, but it would not be possible to approve it without making this correction.
Okay.
Now, making this does not guarantee that or does not bound you to approve that application. You consider it separately. If there's anything wrong with it, that's a time to take care of it. I wouldn't recommend denying, but you can send it back for corrections and stuff. This has no bearing on that. It doesn't hold you to any future votes.
So motion to approve.
I'll second. Okay,
I'm-
I'll second. Yeah.
Okay, Vice Chairperson Collins,
Yes.
Chairperson Richard,
Yes.
and Commissioner Houston.
Yes.
Okay, so this has been approved on reconsideration. Thank you.
All right. Administrative items. There are no items. Items to be placed on future agendas.
Yeah, we have a couple. It's interesting, we already talked about them in some fashion. Bear Elegance made an application to remodel, but this was almost a year ago. Our municipal code was written in such a way that an adult business can't do anything. So they can't upgrade the exterior of the building. They couldn't do, anything other than just a paint of the same color. We had asked the city council to consider removing the obstacle a couple of months ago, which they did. And it wasn't in the zoning code, so that didn't come to the planning commission. It was in the business license code. The zoning code has a provision for what we call, for adult businesses and for non-conforming businesses, that if they want to expand or to remodel significantly, they have to come with a conditional use permit to the planning commission. That is coming finally because the other thing has gone through. Now, without getting too much into it, if you've seen the exterior of this place, it's starting to look a little tired. And so we're hoping that by allowing this to go forward, we can get, something classier, nicer. You have a design review aspect, so, make sure there's no neon on the outside and all that, whatever you need. So that's coming. We do have up to 3 cannabis applications for retail, one of them including a consumption area that will possibly be on the next meeting. At least 2 of them, I'm fairly certain, will be on that agenda. The last one, we're still struggling to get them to complete what they need to do. So that could be a very busy meeting, and we'll try to limit to just those items.
Okay. All right. Move on to commissioner reports, and we will start from this way. Commissioner Houston? Nothing?
Thank you for coming, Mr. Sanchez, and the audience as well. Thank you for showing up. We encourage anybody who wishes to speak, please come and speak. If you have, and like I said, a concern, any type of problems or anything, please email, show up, let us know. We want to see what concerns the residents do have. So again, please, please, please come. When you see a business coming up that if you don't like it, well, not if you don't like it, but if you don't want it in your area, any safety concerns at all, please come. We encourage that. Again, thank you for coming. Again, thank you, Planning Commission. Again, you guys do a great job with answering the questions and concerns that we have. Continue to do the good work. Also, on the cannabis situation, I just have a question on social equity.
Right.
I know I see people of a diverse group of people, but what I'm not seeing so much is that we do have a diverse group, but are any owners African American? You know, just putting it out there. Just to make sure that the opportunities are out there.
Yeah,
That we are
yeah.
also looking into that to see if we have, make sure, you know, with social equity
Yeah.
for African Americans as well. I just want to make sure that they are not being discounted.
No, the criteria for selecting the 6 among the 20 was very extensive.
Okay.
And it's been about a year, but I don't recall if any or how many had African American ownership. I know a few did, but they just didn't score high enough, and it had nothing to do with that. The city council originally was given a proposal to include social equity for one of the 6, but they took that out at the hearing. That said, however, there is the possibility that we may come back with a social equity program, and I have no idea what the details will be. I don't know if it's going to mean another retail or if it's going to be restricted to the other uses, because there was a grant that was applied for on the city's behalf, and we did receive that, and we can use that money for social equity program. So at this point, we don't have it because it was removed from the ordinance, and in the future, we may have it, but it would require a change in the ordinance.
Thank you for that answer.
I will say, though, that all of the applicants that we've seen and the 3 that are still to come have committed to hiring locally. So hopefully that will help to address it, but they're not going to be owners, of course, but yeah.
And I also want to say thank you to the Hawthorne Police Department for their work. I actually went to a site at Lowe's where the Hawthorne Police Department had coffee with the, you know, with their trailer and stuff. So I do appreciate them going out. Kudos to Nichols. So just wanted to say, Sergeant Nichols, you're doing an excellent job. Keep on doing the fantastic job that you're doing. And also I noticed there are cameras set up and so forth in that area, because I know we've been having actually a lot less unhoused people now. I know I mentioned it before from the last time that we were here, but I saw a cleanup happening on across from the Target area where Starbucks is located, and I saw them just working and so forth. So the people who are working to do the cleanup, again, kudos, and it's greatly appreciated from all the residents that are there. Continue the good work, and hopefully we can also see more cleanups like that. So just wanted to do a shout out to the Hawthorne Police Department and also to the Public Works Department on a great job. And then one more thing, and that's it.
I expect one more
We're trying to
thing.
prove an autism day, and I am totally for that. So I'll get some more details next time just to give you more information. And it's basically an educational way of letting residents know more about autism. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Okay, just a couple things for me. First, I'm going to start with the Happy Black History Month. Glad to be here and celebrating another year of Black history and just Black creators here in our city. One of the things I wanted to start off with was just saying a shout out to Jen. I appreciate you for looking at something and having the courage to sit here and say no, because that's we don't often do that. I wanted you to know that I'm also right there with you. I discussed this briefly with Greg, and then I also had a meeting with the police department about some things, about provisions of the licensure that I personally don't agree with. After getting to the point that felt like I could approach Greg again and say, hey, we should take this out, the end response was, well, then every person who's applied can say, oh, I didn't know that, and we could start over again. And that's literally the only reason I haven't mentioned it again, is because unfortunately we get bound here in this space of being able to change what we can't change. Yep. So again, I do really appreciate you for saying that. Also, I wanted to say, I'm gonna tell you anyway that I disagree with the thing that was there. We were talking about with the Fuses program, after I did sit down, and I want to appreciate you for setting up that meeting for me with the police department. Unfortunately, that was the outcome. It does sound like something we could work on, but we couldn't do it unless we had another round without running afoul of all these applicants at this point. With that, I also want to say I wanted to follow up on something else we talked about. There on 120th, the head shop that's not a head shop, that remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so I wanted to see if we got any progress on the fact that, for me, again, this is a big personal gripe. I'm not a big fan of these really bright, distracting lights when you're driving down the street. It just seems like another excuse for distracted driving. And these lights are on when this business is closed at 1 o'clock in the morning. They just don't need.
Okay.
They don't need to be there.
I'll look into the status of that for you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And other than that, I want to say a shout out again to Hawthorne PD. There have been we had incidents at Holly Park, as I'm sure those are aware of, and I appreciate the fact that the prompt notification. I actually wasn't even here, I wasn't in town, and I got a message from our police department to alert the residents of what was going on. I really appreciated that kind of notification, or just making sure that we are responsive to the needs of the things that are going on in our community. So it was able to get out to folks who were here to let folks know what was going on. And I really appreciate the fact that they were able to do that. And other than that, I want to end on saying, everyone, please be safe, and thank you all for coming. Echo what we said. Please come. Please talk to us. Please let us know. Some of you don't understand just how much your comments do help us to be able to make decisions based on what it is the community is saying. So with that being said, I'll adjourn the meeting at 7:54.